Folks, you almost didn't get a show today because Twitter released group messaging and we were sending pictures to each other. But we stopped.
Well, we decided to do the show. It doesn't mean we're not going to keep sending pictures to the group.
Fair
Twitter
point.
group thing.
Fair point. All right, here we go. Ready?
Support for the Daily Tech News Show is provided by Patreon.
Here we go.
Yeah, come on, Patrick.
Support for the Daily Tech News Show is provided by Patreons like you at patreon.com/acedetect. This is FPN, the Frog Pants Network.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, January 27th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Justin Robert Young of the Night Attack, as well as a regular DTNS contributor. How's it going, Justin?
Oh, my good Lord. We are having a great time here today talking about Twitter messaging.
We are. Patrick Beja is here as well from Frenchspin.com. How's it going, Patrick?
It's going well. I'm going to vow to be professional until the end of at least my sentence. And also mention that we're not only talking about Twitter messaging, but also actually experimenting with it in a very risky way. We're putting our integrity on the line to be able to report on that groundbreaking technology to you, the listener.
Group messaging coming to Twitter. It's only 10 years late. We are going to talk about that and more. Let's start kicking off the headlines. Twitter did announce two features actually rolling out to users over the next few weeks. Private message groups is what we've been talking about here. Allows you to send text, photos, links, emojis, and even tweets, like a retweet sort of thing, to up to 20 of your followers, even if they don't follow each other, but they do have to be following you. There's also a video capture feature, which allows you to capture video and edit. Adding to the Twitter mobile app, users will be able to post up to 30 seconds of video. I guess, Justin, you have the group messaging, but the rest of us don't. So it's kind of rolling out slowly.
Yeah, I just opened up my official Twitter app, and all of a sudden it was there waiting for me to group message everybody and send duck faces to you and Patrick and Jenny to prove that, yes, indeed, this technology is out there, it exists, and it works.
It's now internet tested by Justin's duck face.
Indeed. So, Twitter is introducing more messaging options, which means it's time for Snapchat to introduce newsiness. The Verge reports that Snapchat has launched a Discover feature that highlights stories and videos from a selection of outside providers, as well as Snapchat's in-house team of journalists. The new service will be ad-supported. Discover lives in the right of the contact list, and the channels will be called Editions. Channels at launch include ESPN, CNN, Comedy Central, Nat Geo, Vice, and the Food Network.
I actually like these. I updated Snapchat. I didn't have to wait for it to roll out. I just updated the app, got these. It's a limited selection. You can't add your own or anything, but they're kind of nice. I don't know. They're very much like Flipboard to me, though. Very pretty. I enjoyed using them this morning. I don't know if I'll ever go back, though.
Snapchat is in a very unique place because the action for which you interact with the content is addictive and fun to do. Like, I've seen ads in my line, like a McDonald's ad, and I know it's an ad, and I'll just tap the button just to kind of see what it is for 5 seconds, just because I'm curious about it. It's fun to hit that button. I'm curious to see what they do content-wise, but even if it's not necessarily well populated, it still is a revenue stream theoretically for Snapchat, and it's it's a cool way to use the platform.
And they definitely need more revenue, that's for sure. TechCrunch reports encrypted messaging app Wickr has added some steganography to pictures, letting you safely share photos on your Facebook feed. The Wickr timed feed, or WTF, embeds an encoded link in pictures of cats. Facebook users can then click the cat picture to see the real picture, either in their own Wickr account or by downloading it if they're not members.
Okay, so Patrick and I had a long conversation about this before the show because he was trying to figure out why it had to be cats. It doesn't. have to be cats. In
Well-
fact, it doesn't even have to be steganography. But
Oh.
isn't it cool that it is?
It's a missed opportunity that if you are a Wickr man, it's not a picture of bees.
Wickr said that basically the most common pictures on the internet are cats or porn. Like that's what everybody uses to cover their tracks. So they wanted to pick a photo, so it was clear that you were getting a photo in Facebook. They obviously didn't want to pick porn, so that's going to violate Facebook's terms of service. So they picked cats. But the reason that they're doing the steganography at all is Wickr's all about encryption. It's all about privacy. And so they're saying a lot of people want to share a picture on Facebook, but they don't want Facebook to have access to that picture.
But are they really doing steganography though? They're basically they're posting a link that will take you to a page that references the encoded
Yeah,
picture
but
or
Facebook
message or
can't tell
whatever.
what the link is. That's the key.
But
the link is the steganography is the embedding of the link in the picture.
But it's not embedded in the picture. It's just a URL because you can't, if you click the picture, according to
I'm
Facebook,
unclear about that. I thought you had to use the Wickr app in order to be able to access the picture at all.
Oh, I'm sure you can, but on Facebook, if they would be
to the browser if you're not a Wickr member.
well, I'm sure you can't see the Wickr picture without having the Wickr app. That I'm certain of. But the way you access it, because on Facebook you can post a picture and it links to a URL. It's not like there's some secret message encoded in the picture.
No, I know
It's
what
just
you're
a
saying,
URL.
which is like, why not just put the URL there? But then Facebook would know what the URL is. This way, they don't even have access to the URL.
Oh,
theoretically.
I'm sure they do. How do you access it by clicking the picture on Facebook if you don't have the URL?
Because you have to log into Wickr. Otherwise, the link just doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, so it takes you to Wickr directly. It seems fishy to me because
yes,
if you
Patrick,
don't
it does
have
take you to
Wickr-
Wickr directly.
But if you don't have Wickr, it takes you to a
Downloads it,
a download page, which all right, maybe I don't know. I don't see how it would work without a URL. But
well, I think the meta element of this is that we are seeing in a post-Snowden, post-WikiLeaks era security as not only a feature but a cool, hip feature, which I think is an interesting kind of turn of events to look at a mainstream focused company saying, hey, look, it's cool to be secure. We got cat pics.
Yeah, you could just put a link up there that if Facebook tried to access it, wouldn't get them anything.
exactly.
And then there would just be a link. This
I
is
guess
a way
I just-
to actually do something fun. It's an English
just
word. I'm
sensitive.
not sure
I'm
what the
just
French word
sensitive.
for it is.
Security fun.
I'm just sensitive to the misleading and the use of the term steganography and the use of the fact that it's.
But it is
embedded-
steganography. The link is embedded in the picture. I'm
Sure.
I shouldn't say that. I haven't checked it out to be sure, but I can imagine a way where it easily could legitimately be steganography. Yes.
Certainly not.
All right.
Sort.
Well, it's not a discussion topic, so we won't spend too much time on it. But I have my doubts.
All right. If any of you want to go beat up on this and find out for sure what's going on behind Wickr, please send us an email, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Meanwhile, government agencies around the world are very excited by the Internet of Things. Ars Technica reports U.S. Federal Trade Commission Chairwoman Edith Ramirez reiterated her agency's CES comments in a keynote address to the State of the Net conference in Washington, D.C. The FTC wants companies to take security seriously and build it in from the outset, ensure outside service providers respect it, have a defense-in-depth strategy for risks, and combat unauthorized users, as well as keep older devices patched. Seems like a good plan. Meanwhile, in the UK, Ofcom identified 4 priority areas for Internet of Things growth as spectrum availability, data privacy, network security, and resilience and network addressing. So Internet of Things, everybody's trying to protect it now instead of later after all the bad things happen. I think that's a very interesting turn of events.
I think it's all going to be even more interesting when we try to figure out exactly how the Internet of Things is going to be monetized, because that's when the real danger comes. But yeah, it's good to be prepared, and we certainly should be.
The Verge reports that Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, Charlotte, and Raleigh-Durham in North Carolina will be getting Google Fiber. Google will begin to work with the cities and design a plan to install the network and then begin construction in the next few months. Google also said it's looking at Phoenix, Arizona, Portland, Oregon, Salt Lake City, Utah, San Antonio, Texas, and San Jose, California.
Justin, I don't live in any of those cities, so
No.
can we redo that?
Really annoyed. And although I'm really excited that Google is targeting, what seems to be a route for an old school NWA professional wrestling house show circuit with Atlanta, Nashville, and Charlotte, and Raleigh-Durham, it's really frustrating that I don't see names like Oakland, California, or Los Angeles. Like, let's come on. Let's get to the big leagues here, people. Let's wire up places that really need them. More specifically, places I live.
Yeah, these are mostly NBA cities, though, except for San Jose.
And also, I mean, the South. There's certainly, Chattanooga, Tennessee already has their own municipal fiber, and that's right outside of Atlanta, in between Atlanta and Nashville. So it'd be very curious to see if a lot of these cities get these gigabit internet, if you see it to be more of a hub for technological upstarts, because Chattanooga is very much putting themselves out there as an internet-facing city, and for a lot of these places, it's really rad to live in Nashville. You can live a really rad life living in Nashville with an internet startup. I think it'd be very curious to see if they start to go maybe in the direction that Austin's gone in.
Yeah, it is interesting. Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham is the research triangle. San Antonio's near Austin. Salt Lake has its own startup profile, as does Portland, as does Phoenix. Obviously, San Jose, Silicon Valley. So, yeah, interesting selection.
Well, the only person I know is in Salt Lake City is Scott Johnson, so I'm going to assume he lobbied well enough that he would.
All those people from Salt Lake that you met at Nerdtacular last year are now going to write you and be like, wait, what?
Hey, thanks for not remembering me, Patrick. I shook your hand once.
I was actually, that was a ploy to get them to write to me because
Clever.
Bloomberg reports President François Hollande, with the accent, said the French government will present a draft law next month that makes internet companies accomplices of hate speech offenses if they host extremist messages. Interior Minister Bernard Cazeneuve will travel to the US to seek help from Twitter, Microsoft, Facebook, and Google. And that whole story makes me very, very sad.
I'm very, very happy that you got to read all those names.
I'm guessing it might even have been planned that way.
Yeah, it might have been. Good luck with this, President Hollande, because didn't we fight all the safe harbor battles already? Don't we have procedures for this?
Yeah, I mean, the Charlie Hebdo, this is basically there are a couple of things. First of all, hate speech is very heavily regulated and actually outlawed in France and Germany, the World War II's consequences, basically. And so we have a very high sensitivity to this issue specifically and to this problem in general because it's rising. It's becoming more and more difficult to police these things, and they are more and more present. And with the Charlie Hebdo attacks, there is a heightened sensitivity. So it's easy to make fun of or to dismiss. And I do believe that it's kind of misunderstanding of the fundamental workings of the internet, and that's definitely a problem. But it's not. Every country has their own slight idiosyncrasies, and I'm sure we could find other things that are troubling in other countries as well.
Oh, sure, yeah.
That being said, yeah, it's definitely not good, and I'm hoping that they will be made aware of why this is dangerous for a lot more than just hate speech.
So
yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Sorry, this is also kind of the bad element of where, from a Westerner's perspective, you see the slippery slope of some of Europe's regulation in terms of, we've seen them crack down on Google, which we think is fairly legitimate considering the size of the market that they have in Europe, but also the right to be forgotten, stuff like that. You watch all that, and that all seems reasonable, but it certainly is government intrusion into what is this burgeoning, still forming internet community. And then you see stuff like this, and now we've kind of crossed into this line of like, oh man, hate speech is just such a tricky line. It's just so hard to say, well, this cannot be abused, and this will always be used for good and not bad or chilling, discussion in general.
Yeah. My hope is that this ends up softening into we really need cooperation versus we're going to pass a law making you accomplices. I think that's the part that really gets my back.
And that's that's the problem, because when you ask for cooperation in the case of hate speech, it's almost kind of a moral issue, because you can't yourself ask for cooperation from these companies and then feign outrage or display outrage when another country, such as, for example, China, demands for information about people posting stuff they don't like, and that's very dangerous as well. It's the reason this is so troubling is that it's a problem with compelling arguments on both sides, and the right thing, or the compelling argument of the internet defending portion of the battle is difficult to get understood by the people making the decisions. So yeah.
Well, let's lighten up the conversation with a new browser, because that's what everyone's been crying for. The Next Web reports former Opera CEO and co-founder John von Techner. Remember him? He's the guy who said he would swim from Norway to the United States. Got 8 million downloads. He has a new project called Vivaldi. He's not at Opera anymore. This is his own deal. It's built on the Blink engine like Chrome, uses React, Node.js, and a number of Node modules. It's sleek. It runs fast. I was trying it out this morning. It's a really nice browser, targeted to power users. So it has lots of gestures and quick commands, the ability to take notes on pages and save them, the ability to stack tabs into groups so that similar items are all grouped together, which is kind of nifty. And you can get the technical preview at vivaldi.com.
No, listen, proof is in the pudding on browsers, right? If it's fast and it doesn't crash, like as much as I love Chrome, it certainly crashes a lot more than I would like it to.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Chrome never crashes for me. Never.
Oh really?
Well, you're not pushing it hard enough.
Yeah, probably.
You're being too gentle on Chrome.
But no, I mean, and I still use it. It hasn't been enough, to deter me from using it. But browsers are always one of those things that I will front run. I will get on the bandwagon very, very quickly and abandon what I was using before, so I can get on the new hotness. So I'm excited to try that out. Now, the following is a public service announcement from your friends at DTNS. Don't drink and drone, especially if you're near the White House. According to The Verge, the man who crashed a DJI Phantom drone onto White House grounds on Monday told the Secret Service he'd been drinking before the accident. Also, he said the drone belonged to a friend, and that after he lost control of his friend's drone, he went to bed worried about where he lost the drone. How do you say?
Bad story. Bad story. Yeah.
I mean, where do you even we've all been to DC, right? Patrick, you been to DC?
I have not, but I can pretend I have if you want.
Yeah, I lived in Arlington, Virginia for 4 months. I'm not sure how your drone gets away from you.
Yeah, I mean, the White House is in a very metropolitan area. Like, there's not a whole lot. I mean, I guess maybe you're on the National Mall, even then it's hard to get it from there to the White House, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if it just got away from him and just kept going line of sight until it crashed, anything's possible.
Yeah, but also don't get wasted and start flying your buddy's drone.
No.
That sounds like
that's the moral of the story. GigaOM reports several net neutrality violations have been determined in Europe. Europe. Dutch Consumer Protection Agency, ACM, fined KPN 250,000 euros for blocking VoIP services and fined Vodafone 200,000 euros for zero-rating the HBO Go app. Slovenia gave warnings to Telekom Slovenie, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for zero-rating music app Deezer, and SI Mobile for zero-rating cloud storage app Hanger Mappa. Both companies have 2 months to comply. And by the way, there's a bunch of zero rating happening in France as well. And I would actually love it for them to be reprimanded, because this violates net neutrality in its strictest sense. And I'm an adept of the stick rather than the carrot, I guess.
Europe is not unified on this, though. The draft of net neutrality rules do not make zero rating a violation of net neutrality, which would change things in Slovenia and the Netherlands. Actually, that's going to be a fight. It looks like Netherlands and Slovenia are putting their flag in the ground, saying no, zero rating should be a violation of net neutrality. And we're going to start fining people to prove it.
I'm fairly sure that should be uniformized in
there's
EU,
there's
but I'm
different
guessing
takes on it.
there's-
There are some net neutrality advocates who say zero rating just says, we're not going to count certain data that isn't privileging packets. It's an accounting issue. And then others like yourself say yes, but it encourages an abuse of the system, which essentially leads to privileges because you're less likely to use other services because they do count against your data cap.
Yeah.
So there's
No, I mean-
arguments on both sides.
I meant on the EU level, the law should be similar in all EU countries, and this is
Well, that's why
it's an
there's a big
instance of-
fight over harmonizing all of this stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm saying this, and then I'm thinking, well, in some less developed countries, there should be some measure of this to encourage internet adoption. So as always, for everything, there are two sides to the story.
Or maybe 3 or 4. The Verge reports Microsoft's earnings report was well received yesterday. If you didn't hear, revenue increased 8% year over year to $26.5 billion, although net income dropped 10% to $5.6 billion. The drop was largely due to costs associated with the restructuring of the handset business that Microsoft acquired from Nokia. Good news for Surface. Tablet revenue jumped 127% to $908 million. Microsoft sold 10.5 million Lumia devices in their latest quarter. That compares to 8.2 million same time last year. Revenue increased 9% for server and commercial cloud. Revenue grew by massive 116%. There was some bad news, a decline in Office consumer revenue by 25% and a decline in OEM revenue for Windows by 13%. So all of this kind of driving Microsoft away from relying on Windows as the cash cow it used to be and relying on cloud as the new cash cow that seems to be shaping up.
Which is where Satya has been pushing stuff anyway, right?
Yep.
So good on him. Recode passes along the Nikkei Business Daily reports that Sony will cut 1,000 jobs in its smartphone divisions, mainly in Europe and China. These are in addition to 1,000 jobs that Sony announced earlier.
Ars Technica reports the USS the
USS Federal Communications Commission. Aye, aye.
Set sail for net neutrality.
That's I read what I'm being told to read. So
I'm Ron Burgundy.
And now it's changed. The U.S. Federal Communications Commission issued an enforcement advisory stating that blocked Wi-Fi in hotels is unequivocally prohibited. So that problem's solved. I guess it is
good.
kind of solved, right?
Yeah, prohibited.
Kind of.
No, there you go.
Yep.
Okay, we
again.
got a couple more earnings reports that are just coming out. So Apple released plus-sized earnings today. Revenue $74.6 billion versus the expected $67.5 billion. Earnings per share of $3.06. That's just disgusting. Versus $2.60 expected. Company sold record numbers of iPhones. 74,468,000. So that's versus 65 million expected, big jump, up 46% compared to the year prior, making it the biggest ever quarter by 23.4 million units. iPad 21.4 million sales versus 22 million expected, so a little off there. And Mac units 5.52 million versus a 5.5 million expected, so that's about the same. Meanwhile, Yahoo missed its estimates with revenue of 1.18 billion and earnings of 30 cents a share. Analysts had only expected 29 cents a share earnings, but 1.19 billion, so pretty close. Yahoo also announced it will spin off the rest of its stake in China's Alibaba Group. Now, they're not selling it. They're going to spin it off as an independent company called SpinCo. Seriously, that's the name of the spin-off company. I'm not kidding you.
Freak show for Apple. Right? It's
Crazy.
6 billion.
Ridiculous.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it's mostly on the iPhone's back. But when is this thing going to become? I mean, it's not cool anymore for sure. But how do they manage to keep selling more and more all the time? and I'm an iPhone user, so I like that platform, but it's kind of incredible that they keep doing with these enormous margins, even though Android is a very viable alternative to that, as smartphones go. It's kind of bewildering. It's not even that their marketing is stellar as it used to be. I don't know. I don't really understand how they're selling more and more of that thing every year.
It has to be just because of the burgeoning market, right? Just more and more people are buying what we would think to be smartphones, right?
Well, they killed it in China.
Yeah.
They basically that was the big boost in this quarter anyway.
More people want to buy these devices, this class of device, and they're the big player in it.
I guess the surprising thing is that we were kind of expecting that they had ran out of first world markets where to sell their very high margin phones, and apparently they're the developing countries are catching up just fast enough that they can buy more iPhones. It's amazing.
But the number in there is that iPad number. And they barely missed, but they seem to have held steady versus expectations by and large. You got to figure, though, this is why this Apple Watch is going to be a big deal for them, because they want, in the same way that the iPad and the iPhone stemmed iPod flagging sales, they want the Apple Watch to come up and stem the iPad flagging sales.
And they barely missed on expectations. That's down from a year ago. That's down quite a bit. Everybody expected it to be down, though.
Yeah.
The tablet market is becoming a commodity market. It's fairly saturated.
It's becoming the phone market. This thing is gigantic, this iPhone Plus I got.
Time now for some news from you. This comes from our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. TM204 sent us the GigaOhm story that Nest will replace older Dropcams for free. This after the report this weekend that the original Dropcam and the Dropcam Echo will stop connecting to the cloud service on April 15th. Nest purchased Dropcam in 2014. Dropcam said some cloud features would no longer work on the older cameras and that eligible users will be contacted directly by the company about a replacement. It's good for you, Nest. Good job.
starfuryzeta submitted the EFF plan to end global mass surveillance. It's a long piece about the nature and extent of the issue and why it's a problem. The game plan is to combat global surveillance, including the following elements: pressure technology companies into hardening their systems against NSA surveillance, create a global movement that encourages user-side encryption, and encourage the creation of secure communication tools that are easy to use, as well as several steps to encourage legal reforms and transparencies. So, encrypt everything, change all the laws.
Yeah.
That hike.
So I like the title of the upcoming movie, the EFF plan to end global mass surveillance.
In a world of global mass surveillance.
Only one 5013C company
and
has the
certainly
courage.
It's something that is absolutely positive and that needs to happen. Someone needs to do it. However, I'm not seeing so much a plan as a list of to-do lists. It's kind of a to-do list.
Well, what is a plan?
Things, but well, I don't know. A plan seems like you would have an action and a measurable reaction. Here, it's we should lobby to get this, and we should encourage to get that. There's nothing that shows like a domino effect. I guess that's more of what I was expecting. They were saying we've been working on that plan for years, and now we're finally ready to unveil it. And the plan is pressure these people to do that and encourage these people to do this. And sure,
and I quote from their post, note that these are not consecutive steps. We're working on them concurrently. So this isn't a step-by-step plan like you're describing. They call it a game plan, which is like, we need to put pressure on tech companies to harden their systems. We need to create a movement. And I guess what I'm saying is what you're identifying is there are not a lot of easy things you can just do. You've got to start working on creating the conditions to be able to do the constructive things that you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's good, but
no, I think this is great for the EFF to do. This is why they're there, is to make a big noise about these kinds of things and spell out what they believe is the path forward to solve some of these problems. So, I think it's up to us, if we care about it, people who listen to the EFF and support the EFF and care about these causes, then it's up to us to pick up the cause and go forward with it. Otherwise, it'll just be a blog post,
I guess my issue with it is that it doesn't seem like there's a lot of new, interesting, different things. It's just encouraging people to do the right thing, but it's still a good thing to encourage people to do the right thing.
I would like to encourage people to watch the movie Do the Right Thing.
And that is the officially longest headlines in Daily Tech News Show history. You forgot we were still in the headlines, didn't you, people? So real quickly, we did want to talk about Twitter and this whole direct messaging thing that we're playing with. I think the video thing makes sense to me. What do you guys? I feel like moving into the group messaging, because that's the more interesting part. The video messaging just feels like them saying, "Hey, we have a camera upload function. We should have a video upload function as well."
I think it's actually pretty interesting, and it might be the most interesting of the two, because it sort of pushes Twitter into content. More different types of content curation and very valuable, not curation, I'm sorry, but content hosting and delivery. It effectively makes Twitter a sort of mini YouTube. Because they're going to be hosting
I disagree with that. I really do.
Okay.
Because to me, putting pictures on Twitter didn't turn Twitter into a mini Instagram or a mini Flickr. This is just saying you can put 30 seconds of video up in your Twitter post natively through the app instead of having to go and upload it somewhere else and then link to it.
Well, I think it has the same effect for videos as it did for pictures, meaning, first of all, it allows people to do what they do on Twitter with more different mediums. And I disagree. I think the pictures changed a lot of what Twitter is, because it allowed people to report on a lot of things very easily and in a live way, and that does the same thing for video, which wasn't an integral part of the Twitter ecosystem.
Yeah, but I could use third-party apps and put video on Twitter all day long. This is just Twitter saying we're bringing it in-house.
But you could do it for pictures as well, and Twitter integrated it and changed things.
As Twitter said in their blog post, tweets have been more than just 140 characters for a very long time. This is bringing that core functionality into the user experience, which is imperative for them since they've stepped on the neck of so many third-party clients and seem to be bent and intent on forcing people to use their apps if they want to get the richest possible functionality. So they need to do this. They need to increase and make more attractive their core offering. This is a huge step forward on this. The big key, and I think what they've learned with Vine, is how to scale and use and host video. So this is a reliable way to do it, that it doesn't crash, it doesn't take forever to upload. Hopefully they have learned a lot of lessons and this is seamless. But I think it's absolutely necessary in the way that uploading pictures. Now, where I think you would be right, Patrick, on it being a mini YouTube.
Thank you.
If they have a curation app where you can more easily see Twitter uploaded video. If this becomes immediately a major player in video uploading, and now there's a reason that we want to see, let's say, more people, like if things are happening in Ferguson, for example, we just want to see all the videos that are coming in real time about Ferguson, and they have a curation feature or a standalone app. Now I think you are taking a little bit of the share away from other video hosting services because there is such an immediacy to the uploads of Twitter. So I think it could be, it depends on what they want to do beyond setting it up as a capture service.
Well, so I'm not saying
Remember, it's only
going to take
30
away
seconds of video.
Yeah,
this is about messaging, not hosting.
It's not going to take away market share from YouTube for sure, and it's not. That's not what I was suggesting. What I'm saying is, it brings more. Basically, now on Twitter, as you were saying, Justin, it has been more than 100 characters for a long time. This brings the last remaining piece of the puzzle in-house, and it offers them a whole lot of additional possibilities. And I don't think anyone is going to start looking at videos only on Twitter. It's not going to become a video dissemination app, but the example of Ferguson, of the Arab Spring, of many other things, and you can edit the video before posting it. So there are a ton of things. If you look at Vine, even you have a very specific type of stars that have been born on Vine. I think it could become something significant for sure. But even if it doesn't, it's already significant that Twitter has all of the different types of media integrated into their platform and ready to be used in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, this is to me, this is an extension of Twitter. It's an improvement to Twitter, but it's not going to revolutionize Twitter. It's not going to change a lot because you could already do this, and people do it all the time with YouTube videos and third-party apps. All this is going to make it easier. It's going to make it more prevalent, and it probably will change the nature of video a little bit on Twitter. Whereas group messaging, I feel like, has a much bigger effect on how we use Twitter, because in the past, you really wouldn't use it for messaging friends because it was either like, well, I either put it out there in front of everybody, or I make my profile private, which then takes all of my posts away from everybody, or I just go one-on-one. And I've used direct messages on Twitter that way a lot with people visiting from out of the country who had a data plan but don't text messaging plan. But now suddenly it opens it up and it says, hey, you can just use it for group messaging. It's now directly suddenly competing with a bunch of apps that it wasn't competing with in any way before because it couldn't do it.
Absolutely. And it gives you a very quick way to go from we're talking about this publicly on Twitter to now we're talking about it privately on Twitter. The biggest narrative question for me is, so Twitter likes direct messaging again? Like they seem to have this weird love-hate relationship with it that now is very much in the love category. They have long since started calling them messages instead of direct messages, and I think that is a subtle branding term to make it not this add-on to Twitter, but rather this whole other functionality arm within Twitter. I think I'll find myself using it because I use DMs a fair amount.
Yeah, they've been shying away from direct messaging for, I think, a couple of years when they wanted everything to be public. Because remember, there was a time where when they needed all of the content to be public in order to benefit from it financially and otherwise. And for, I guess, a year or a year and a half, again, possibly to a degree a consequence of the Snowden leaks and the refocusing on privacy, and to another extent the fact that a lot of the youngins don't want everything they do to be viewable in the public eye and archived for all eternity. The messaging services have obviously become really a hot commodity, and Twitter is like, well, we have to get on that, and you're right. I've been using direct messaging more and more. There's one thing that's a little bit confusing, though. The private messages to groups, they have to be following you, but they don't need to be following each other. But every one of them is going to see all of the others' messages. I think it's going to
just
take
these messages, though. Like that makes sense to me, because if you said everybody had to be following each other, then this would be broken. You'd be trying to talk to people like, oh wait, that person doesn't follow that person. So you have to make it work that way. Yeah.
But I think it's going to take just a little bit of time of getting used to understand exactly how it. Because even today, when I private message one of my followers with some information, they often come back to me and say, "Oh, I can't, message you back because you're not following me," and they don't. Yeah, they don't really understand how that works.
But now you will. And remember, Twitter tried to change that, and they got in trouble from people saying, no, you shouldn't allow people to message a follower and be able to message back because of all of these reasons about stalking. This now just quietly sidestepped that whole issue and said, look, we can't have group messaging without being able to do that. And so now you're able to do that.
But you're in control of it. You have to start the messaging with the people who are following you, and then you can always leave that group messaging thread if you want to. So you still retain a certain amount of control over it. I do think it would have been useful to have the ability for one of your followers to message you back if you had sent a message to them. They could do it for an hour or something like that. But
here's my final thought on this: is Twitter too public to be a private resource to talk to friends? Do we think of Twitter as, listen, DM fails, we're not far away. I mean, I guess maybe that's sort of been shed a little bit, but back in my day on Twitter, DM fails were a regular thing. And I don't know if new adopters to something like Twitter, where they want to be a part of this larger conversation, will also look at it as a dual utility to have a private conversation with people. too popular and too public to occupy that space in our heads.
I think that's why this isn't going to really compete with Kakao or Line or WhatsApp, because this isn't doing that. The people I follow or the people who follow me are not at all the same as the people I have in my text messaging contacts list, right?
Yeah.
And so this is not going to replace text messaging. What will be interesting to see is if there is enough need for the Twitter crowd that knows each other and they @reply to be able to say, hey, let's do a little, we don't really want to talk in front of the entire world about this, but there's 5 or 6 of us who do. So let's do it here on Twitter. Now we have the ability to do that.
I mean, I don't think it's going to replace WhatsApp or Snapchat or Line or Kakao Talk or any of those, because you're right, they're very separate. But on the other hand, we're looking at it as people who have a large difference between the number of people we follow and the people who follow us. I'm wondering if for people who just are not very public, who just have a normal amount of followers and people they follow, is it going to be different for them, because they might be using Twitter in a slightly different way that is already kind of more with people they have a direct relationship with.
But if they don't have a lot of people following them, they can't send a lot of messages.
Well, they have their friends following them, which is
okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know how big of a percentage that is. It's a good point.
Well, I guess most Twitter users are following mostly their friends and a few famous people, quote unquote. So for them, it wouldn't be. There's still a duality there that I think makes it a little bit, ambivalent. But
yeah, all right.
It's.
So I mean, I guess the question is, if this works, how many people don't want to take a conversation that they are having off Twitter to go to another messaging app? We're going to find that out. I think that's where its core audience is going to lie.
All right, real quickly, our pick of the day comes from Rusty in Maryland. It's gethuman.com, a website that provides a searchable database of business phone numbers with hints on how to get to a human as quickly as possible instead of navigating a robotic menu system. He used it the day he emailed me when he needed to call Comcast tech support, and the person on the other end still seemed to be reading from a script. But GetHuman helped save him several valuable minutes to get to them. So go check it out, gethuman.com. Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, and you can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks.
That seems a lot better than my strategy of just yelling representative into the phone over and over and over again.
Which, eventually, sometimes it'll probably work. And we got one message of the day. We actually have a bunch of messages. I'm going to save them because we're running long. Ben Yankee wrote in and said, I'm a student, and like most students, my budget is tight, but I want to be able to have a VPN to use when I'm on public Wi-Fi. However, the prospect of paying for it has deared me so far. However, I realize that my school, the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, good hockey club, has a VPN for accessing campus resources when off campus, with the obvious side benefit that traffic would be protected and sent back to campus if you're on a sketchy network. They use a Cisco VPN, which even had a free Android client available, which I now use. This proved useful for me, and hopefully it proves useful for other students looking to stay digitally safe on the cheap. Thanks for that, Ben. It's a good tip. Cheap way to VPN. And that's it for this episode of the Daily Tech News Show. Justin Robert Young, your final thoughts.
I'll just hit you up on Twitter direct message real quick on my final.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. Final. Oh yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Faces to one another. Stop pretending.
Go watch Night Attack tonight. It's Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, Night Attack tonight. You can check out Jury, my one-man show on Sunday nights. That's at jurytalks.com. But yeah, big fun Night Attack show tonight, including TechCrunch's own Sarah Lane.
Hey, speaking of TechCrunch, and I can't wait to see TechCrunch's own Sarah Lane on Night Attack. TechCrunch reporting the Apple Watch will start shipping in April to consumers, according to Apple CEO Tim Cook, who revealed that month as the expected target launch date for the company.
So what's the sale date? Is it April?
Well, shipping in April to consumers, I guess the sale date's probably going to be sometime in April.
Yeah.
Not.
So not March. Ming Chi Kuo was wrong. Patrick Beja, Frenchspin.com. What else is going on?
Well, at Frenchspin.com, we have a show that we recorded a few days ago, and it's the Phileas Club. And I would really encourage people to go listen to that one. It's a show that mainly discusses the events and the consequences of the Charlie Hebdo attacks, and we gathered people from different countries: U.S., France, Germany, UAE, and Australia, and we discussed a lot of it. And I guess I thought about it a lot, and this show is not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's a show about listening, and I really encourage you to go listen to it, because there's a lot of information that I think will be very useful to understand a lot of the ins and outs of what's happened there, and the consequences. So please go listen to it if you're interested. And that's it.
Episode 52. Are We Charlie is the one you want to go listen to. Go check it out.
That is an extraordinarily valuable perspective, and thank you for putting it out there, because I think,
you listened.
Yeah, well, not you, but I was.
Well, see, even Jury agrees, and he hasn't even listened to it.
Well, I know you, and I've heard enough about. I've heard your perspective on it, and I know that this would be a more deep dive on it, and I'm very excited to go listen to it. But there's so much. Everybody wants to grab the T-shirt when something happens, and especially on social media, it's very easy, and you don't want to be the person who says, "Well, I'm uncomfortable with this," or there's a more complicated question here, and I'm very excited to listen to it.
Thank you. Frenchspin.com.
Frenchspin.com. And folks, I really enjoyed this. This is why I wanted to have regular contributors, because we get great shows like this, and we want to have more of that. Veronica Belmont and Scott Johnson are next on the docket to sign up, and we are making progress. Not as fast as maybe some of us would like, but thank you to the 4,776 patrons who've already helped us out to get us closer all the time. If you've been thinking about maybe giving a little value back to the show for the value you get, now's the time to do it. Patreon.com/AceDetect, DailyTechNewsShow.com/support to find all the ways to support the show. Don't forget, you can have a voice in what we cover. Our subreddit is dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Email address feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Phone number 51259-DAILY. And the show is live at alphageekradio.com. Our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. We'll be back tomorrow with Robert Heron as our guest. Talk to you then.
This podcast is part of the Frog Pants Studios Network. For more information about this and other shows, visit frogpants.com. Audio program so good, it's like you're there.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
Excellent.
Sorry that ran so long, you guys, but it was really good.
Oh,
No,
sorry
man.
for you. I know you
We're
like
just
keeping
busy
the show
bringing that
short.
heat. Also, Patrick, I immediately regretted hopefully jumping on you for the miscommunication in the script there, the USS Federal Communications.
Oh, it was super fun. Are you kidding?
Hopefully that was all in good fun, but I
no,
just
of course.
say that up.
It was.
I immediately regretted writing one extra S in that line.
I saw somebody in the chat room be like, "Oh, we never used to make fun of people for saying things," and listen, if I was reading headlines in French as my second language, I would I would be very annoyed if somebody who is a native language speaker.
Which,
fine.
by the way,
Hey,
brings
look,
me
you
to
got a thing.
the stretch goal after Veronica and Scott is to force Justin to do a French version of Daily Tech News Show with Patrick
Exactly.
Basil.
Come on, you want to get those those patrons up, man? I'll do it.
No, I mean honestly, I think some people get defensive about this when I'm really not. I'm very comfortable with the way I speak English, and that's that I don't take umbrage to any of those. I make fun of you guys more than the opposite, probably.
Well,
so.
I mean, just no.
Well, go listen to the instance, folks, if you want to hear someone make fun of Patrick for the way he pronounces something, because this past weekend's episode was almost like the first 15 minutes was about that.
And the weird thing is, a lot of people were on Twitter. Some people were saying, "Oh, but you're making fun of Patrick, and you're doing this and that." I'm the one who started making fun of.
Oh, no,
Scott
you were
for the
giving
way
it
he was
back.
pronouncing it.
And I love that you
but
guys
I even
both had
started it.
soundbite examples that supported your pronunciation. That was fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
Chagall.
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 Yes, there you go.
No,
See,
no.
it's not that hard. Pronunciation of World of Warcraft characters. And I'm the one who called out Scott on the way he pronounced it.
No, I know. You started it.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what's our title? I should probably be efficient today.
Titles.
Don't Drink and Drone?
That's pretty good.
Dude, that dude's, I mean, listen, not that we needed to add more time to the headlines, but that dude's story is ridiculous, and he definitely was not flying his friend's drone, and I don't believe he was drunk.
I was drunk. It was my friend's drone.
It's the drone version of
What was
iMessage
happening
friend.
was, my friend Scott, and he has a drone, and then we were having a few beers. Next thing you know, the drone starts flying, and
Oh, yeah, this has got to turn into an Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode.
Yeah. It just kind of sounds like something that you say when the Secret Service rolls up en masse to your house and says,
Oh, that's my buddy's drone.
oh no, it's
No, that's not mine.
Smirnoff Ice.
We have your fingerprints on the drone, sir. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's my buddy's, but I touched it.
yeah.
No, if you change the word drone for another word, it
Wow,
gets
look at this.
Which word?
For me. Are
the word
getting
cheese.
The hangout freezing?
Queso. Fromage. Don't drink in fromage? Doesn't really work.
Oh, really? Oh, we can-
Actually, the opposite works.
Don't fromage and drink? What?
No. Do drink in fromage. What?
Yes. Especially if they're properly paired.
So, what
So do
was
you
I
guys,
gonna
I
say?
mean, you guys...
All right, guys.
having-
This hangout is completely falling apart for me. I can't hear anything you guys are saying.
What? Why not?
Oh, now you're back.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't know.
It was just a mixed up jumble of nonsense.
It's called French, Justin.
Right.
Stop making fun
Can you
of
please stop being insulting to my entire nation?
Stop it. No, not.
Maybe I should start a Twitter flame war.
a Twitter
you
claymore?
know-
Can't believe
We have a long, proud tradition of allying with the French when we both hate people.
that. So I'm now offended.
Oh, a Twitter claymore. I see what you're doing. Yeah, yeah.
How dare you? Should I
I
add a
got a
smiley?
time
lest
bomb
people
in my
think
mind,
I'm-
Mom.
There you go.
Oh, you made Jocelyn's head explode earlier. I missed that.
Well, when I post pictures of myself, it sometimes has that effect.
Oh, why you got it? Oh, Patrick, now you're gonna. Oh, jeez. Now Now I just feel bad.
No, you should answer in kind. That's how it works.
No. Listen, I have a problem with people thinking I'm a asshole. Like I need to stem that problem.
Okay.
I naturally act like an asshole. I don't need to be.
Hey, Justin, don't roll over and take it like you're French.
Oh, gee.
Already getting the white flag out, Justin?
Exactly. It was like, come on. You guys only did it like 1 to 7 times, and all of a sudden it's like a big thing for everybody.
There.
What? Did something happen?
I just stomped on your claymore.
Well, Jenny is here in the Oakland studio. So I think I'm gonna sign
is
off
Jenny
here.
leaving?
No, she's just hanging. Look at this. Meh. Look at Jenny.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Didn't get
Chilling
what?
all up
I
here
realized she was. I didn't
town.
realize she was there.
Oh, you didn't realize they were in the same room?
No,
Yeah.
and that's why the echo thing. Now I understand.
She's making the tour, man. She was at Hack 5 yesterday, Club Jury today.
Let me make it very easy for you to understand that I am in the same room. Hello, hello, hello.
Well, I had understood before you did that.
Hey, Beatmaster asks, any chance of getting Sarah Lane, that hot new hire from TechCrunch?
Yeah, if she'll get back to my email, yes, absolutely. She wants to be on. She's real busy, doing Night Attack and stuff. So no, we started like figuring out days, and then we got distracted. But yes, we will have her on.
I want to be on with Sarah.
All right, maybe that's how we can make it. Nail it down.
Yeah.
What's her new
harass her.
position?
She's executive producing video for TechCrunch.
That's very cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize she went to TechCrunch, but
I'll tell you what, Verge definitely like kind of changed the game when it came to video with the tech blog stuff. They stepped it up to another level, and I think it's a great hire by TechCrunch to
Definitely.
really takes it seriously and is such a great presence as Sarah is.
Yeah, you're going to see her effect.
Yeah.
For sure.
The lane effect, as it's often called.
You're going to see TechCrunch's video move into the fast lane, is what Justin's trying to say.
The fast lane. Sounds like a derogatory name.
Actually, yeah, I take it back. It sounds horrible. I don't know what that sounds like, but I meant it well. It's going to be the quality lane.
All right, so I'm out of here, guys. Bye.
All right.
Love you,
Take care.
guys.
Miss
Bye.
you.
Bye, Jerry.
I'm just waiting for the upload to finish, but if you need to go, Patrick, I'll let you go.
Are you telling me I have to go?
No, definitely not.
I
but
think
I know
you're
it's late
telling
for
me
you.
I have to go.
I just mean it's late for you, and I feel bad keeping you up any longer than you might want to. So,
I'm just trying to make people feel bad today.
man, what is up with you today?
I'm on fire.
You are just on fire.
All right, but actually, I'm probably gonna go. So,
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
All right. Goodbye, video.
goodbye, everyone. Bye,
We'll
chat
see you
room as
tomorrow.
well.